What's going on, people? So at the end of the last video, I was like reorganizing these shoes to get like the ones closer to me that I was going to be talking about next. But since they all very much look the same, I totally screwed that up. But anyway, so it is one of those things. I also screwed up the thumbnail that I did for the live unboxing last night, because if you look at it, you'll notice. But yeah, I didn't have the shoes laid out correctly or anything, so it was a whole thing, right? That's what happens when you get a bunch of stuff that really just all kind of looks the same. Especially, you know, these two, kind of midsole wise. Well, excuse me, these two. Again, they such a similar look. Side of the box, down there, past all the rambling and whatnot, right? That's what you're looking at. That's what we're about to talk about and all that good stuff. How much are we going to talk about it? Not a whole lot. I've talked about the the Kayano 31 a lot of times. Well, twice. And some follow-ups. So, and even in some other follow-ups. I've covered it a good deal. Not doing it all this time. But we'll at least lead off the same, and then we'll just kind of skip ahead a lot. This right here is the Asics Gel-Kayano 31 in the Luxe colorway. You knew that. Let's go ahead and move on to the bottom. Down there on the bottom piece, right? Standard outsole that you've seen before. It looks kind of big and dumb, honestly, but hey, it's working for them, and it's got some good stuff down there to help keep you on your feet, so no complaints from me. It's just kind of a visual thing that I don't really care so much for. Moving on up here, one thing that is a little bit better, I do like the midsole, right? The way it looks, just because of this whole gradient thing. This isn't the best presentation of it, of the Luxe Pack, in my personal opinion, but it's not bad. It's just, you know, not better than the others. So you got that going on. It looks pretty decent. I'll give it that, right? Now, real quick before we move on the inside, that piece of the midsole, not so fancy, right? It's just like the plain brown Luxe colorway or whatever you want to call it. Taupe, I think, is what they called it. Taupe? I'm not really sure how to pronounce that, but taupe sounds fair, maybe. I don't know. So there's that. A couple other pictures in here real quick so you can kind of take these all in for yourself, right? It's not a whole lot going on with them, not even a little bit, right? But it works. It's a decent look. I got no complaints about it as far as like just the visual of the upper for the Kayano 31. So there is that piece of it. But we'll get into some things in a little bit as far as how I feel about this one in particular, right? But if you saw the last two videos, well, you probably know where that's going now, don't you? Anyway, so let's see. I've covered, like I said, the 31 many times before. So all I'll do right now, I meant to move those a little bit closer, but I will give you like a quick comparison of the standard and the platinum, in case you're wondering what's different. For the most part, I'll tell you this though. When you buy like a Kayano or anything else like in the platinum style or Luxe style in this case, really you're just spending a little bit of extra money for like a different color and a few cosmetic changes that ultimately don't really change the shoe at all, right? So let's get these over here. So we'll start with the platinum, right? This is the Kayano 31 Platinum. Maybe you remember that from a review many moons ago, right? So I was thinking that, you know, since they had changed a lot from like the tongue and stuff, and, you know, the logo was a little bit different as well, I thought maybe they'll do some other stuff with these, and not so much, right? So they are very much similar in the sense of like the side Asics decal on the side, right? It's still going to be that same sort of feel and everything. This one just looks more like it has like a wood grain sort of vibe to it. They feel very much the same, so it's nothing really different past that, right? And then looking at the tongues here, the tongue on this one had its own little thing going on, which was a departure from how the standard Kayano looked. But when you look at, now that's when I pull out the cool matcha. So when you look at this one on the tongue, which is kind of hiding away, but I'll get a picture in there, these both look very much the same, right? So they just went back to how the standard 31 looked for these. And they do still, obviously, like the 31 standard does have like the standard little plastic overlay thing for their Asics logo. It's fine. It's not as cool as this one. That's the same thing I said about the platinum. I thought the platinum one was just like a nice touch or whatever. So there's that. Otherwise, everything else is very much going to be the same on the outside. And one thing that I mentioned in a previous video, I had expected on the inside, kind of like how the platinum has this whatever that is going on in there. I thought maybe the Luxe would also have something kind of fancy, Nope, just that Asics A down in there. So that's pretty much all you're getting, right? So like I said, I expected a little bit more of a switch up from the standard to the Luxe because I saw more of a switch up from the standard to the platinum. That's not how it played out, so you're not really getting as much for your money, in my personal opinion, as you did on the platinums. But if you like the color, then I guess that's all that matters, because that's really like the main part that you're going to see anyways, right? So moving on past that, I think that's really all I really need to say. So I'm going to hit you with those personal thoughts, and then we're going to jump on into the sizing. Personally, right, these, I wanted them to look a little different because the pictures made them look a little different. I'm not against this look. I just thought it would be a little brighter, well, a little lighter in some ways, you know. But hey, even when I was taking my pictures last night for these things, or this morning, whenever, last night, yeah, I even noticed that on my own shots. So I'm not going to hold it against them, right? Because, I mean, I just did the same thing. So I get how that plays out. And I'm still not, like, angry about it or whatever. And I like the Kayanos, so that's fine to me. I don't mind adding more of those to the collection, but I think this is the upper limit, and I think I'm done with it just because I have 3 at this point. But all in all, just going back to the opinion of these, yeah, it's fine. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. It's a nice idea, right? I haven't seen the Luxe thing done before, so it's kind of cool to jump in on that. Even if the color itself isn't as light as I expected it to be, it's not a big deal. If anything, this might be a good thing in that it won't show up like dirt and stuff so much, right? So I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. But at the end of the day, I have a lot of shoes, so they only get worn so much anyway. So me sitting here complaining about some minor thing, it's all just because of this section of the video. It ultimately means nothing to me that these didn't play out how I want them to, because not everything does. That's life. I'm used to it. So anyways, let's move on from that. We'll talk about some sizing and some comfort, and then, yeah, talk about some sizing and some comfort. I bought these in a 9.5, right? I have a 9.5 size foot. I buy 9.5 size shoes. 10 times out of 10, it works out, right? So cool for me, cool for that. They do also have a wide version of this, so if you feel like you have a wide-footed foot, then you might want to look into that. How exactly that works out, I've never even tried one on, so I really don't know. I'm kind of curious though, honestly. I just don't take the time to go to the outlet stores and look into it. Anyways, sizing wise, right, length wise they feel fine, width wise they feel fine. You got just a smidge extra room in there, just enough to be comfortable. I will say this though, in the back end, these do have a 10 millimeter difference from the back to the front, so you're going to be standing just a little bit taller, right, in the back. So that might kind of make you feel like your feet are pushed more towards the front. It still felt fine for me, but it's just a thing that I throw out there, right? Also, if that's too high for you, then maybe know that as well. Otherwise, these do look like a pretty thick midsole, but they actually sit the lowest of these 3 shoes that I'm talking about here today. So just know that as well. Kind of goes into the whole thing where these are built more for stability and have less cushion. On that same note, yeah, these do have the same cushion material, the Flight Foam Blast Plus Eco, as the Nimbus 27. They just have less of it, right? Which is why they sit a little bit lower and why they don't feel as like cushiony with each step, which I prefer. I like the stability feeling. They also have that 4D guidance system in there, which plays a role in helping you feel more stable across different terrains and whatnot as your foot is landing on different things. It keeps you straight, right? So I like these a whole lot. It's my preference of the 3. I know it's not going to be the preference for everybody, and I get that, but I wore a pair of these for so far the only 5K I've done this year on the first. Felt awful going into it because like last night, the previous night, not a lot of food, not a lot to drink. Felt pretty bad, but my feet felt really good. So, and that was in these. So it's a good thing, right? And it's just not going to be for everybody. I just want to highlight those differences because even though I'm a big fan of something, I get that it may not be for everybody. So those are just like the upsides to wearing these, in my personal opinion. If you want stability and like less cushion and whatnot, these are a great shoe for you, right? But these other ones fit other walks of life as well. So hey, it is what it is. Asics makes options because different people need different things, right? Makes sense, right? So there's going to be that. Now I'm going to move on. I'm going to do one more video talking about basically all 3 of these all over again, but in one little concise thing. So that way you don't have to sit through 3 different 10-minute ramblings, you know? from me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, wherever you are. Like I said, I got two more videos to knock out because I got to also do my top 10 of 2024. So that's also on the agenda for this morning. Later, people.